this is Faith Hardison from A Touch of Faith, and today we're going to create a ribbon tree. I started making these last year for Christmas and I fell in love with them. I hope you enjoy this tutorial and let's get started. So you need a foam cone, and this particular one is 11.8 inches tall. Purchased it at Hobby Lobby. And then I have rose gold glitter ribbon, 1.5 inches wide. So we're going to cut these in 4-inch pieces in order to create the ribbon tree. And then you're going to need some pins, some straight pins, and I don't have the exact size on here, but I will be sure to post that in the comments below so that you can I'll be sure to post this in the description below. So you'll need some straight pins for your project as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I am warming up my glue gun because what we'd like to do first is just line the bottom edge of the cone with ribbon so that you can't see any of the green part within it. So I'm going to go ahead and just get my ribbon open. I like to purchase my ribbon from Hobby Lobby. This is where this one came from. It was 40% off. So I was able to save a little bit on that. And we're just going to trim the end off there so we have a straight edge. And what I'm going to do while the glue gun is heating up, what we're going to do is just put a little bit of glue along the edge and glue it. And you really don't want your glue to be too hot, because if it is, it's going to melt the cone. So let's see about how hot this is. Yep, that's perfect. I'm just going to put a little trickle of glue along the edge here. I'm using Gorilla Glue. I find that that is a very durable glue. My projects don't come apart when I use the Gorilla Glue. You can find the glue sticks at Walmart. Okay, so all I'm doing is just adhering the ribbon along the edge here until I run out of glue. And I'm pulling it all the way down so that I have exactly enough there where the edge is not showing. So I'm lining it up edge to edge, and I'm going to just slightly lift, put a little bit more glue, going back and forth. My glue gun is not a low temp. I'll probably need to get one of those at some point. So what I do instead is I just heat it for just a little bit instead of allowing it to heat completely up. Okay. And it's not too hot right now, as you can tell, because I'm able to press it and it's not burning me. So that's a good sign. And I have my camera on my table, so I noticed it was shaking just now, so I'm going to try to not press on the table as I'm doing this. Okay, almost done. So we're just going to add a little bit more to finish this off, trying to get it as close to that edge as possible. If it creases, it's not a big deal, because again, all of this will be covered with your ribbon. And the ribbon will create what's going to look like the tree limbs. All right, and then we're back to where we started. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut where it slightly overlaps here. And then I can lift to see what I'm doing. All right. And for the most part, that's probably all you will need the glue for. I will probably use a little bit of glue at the very top once I'm done, just to ensure that, just like I did at the bottom, you can't see any of the green pine. I'll do the same thing at the top. Okay, so this is what we have so far. It's just a nice, even layer all the way around. Notice I wasn't too concerned about the fact that this is overlapping. Not going to be a big deal, because what we'll do in just a minute is pin it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to set this side just for a second. So now what we're going to need is 4-inch pieces of our ribbon. So I have my table covered with cutting mats. That's just how I work. It's so much easier having mats all over the place, so that if at any point I need to measure, I can. And since I'm going to do the 16-inch pieces, or excuse me, 4-inch pieces, I can measure to 16 and get 4 cuts, but I'm going to go ahead and go forward 4 more on my next mat and measure out. So 16, 17, 18, that's technically 19, 20. So my 1-inch here is going to act as my 20, and then all I'm going to do is just snip it right here at the 0. So I made one of these last night, and what I ended up doing at first, I was cutting one entire strip, and then I would come back and I cut them into 4-inch pieces first. But I tried this last night when I was working, and this seemed to go faster. So I'm going to show you how I cut multiple strips all at once. I'm trying to get a good angle here and make sure you can still see what I'm doing. Okay. It also helps if you can put your ribbon on something. I usually use my Easy Bow Maker, just the spool part, the dowel to hold it. But that's not on my table. I don't want to stop my project. So I'm going to just keep going with this. Okay. So I use my scissors at first to do my initial cuts. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to keep them close together. Let's see how I can do this. All right, so I'm going to use my rotary cutter that I normally use for my Deco Mesh. And my goal here is to cut as many of these as I can. So I'm going to cut through all 4 at once, and I'm going to cut them on the 4-inch mark. Down here, looks like I didn't do a perfect job. That's okay, but I'm just going to trim off the excess, just like so. So now I'm going to hold with one hand, and I'm going to cut at the 16 mark. And I like that because I just made 4 cuts all at once. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing at the 12-inch. That's my fast way. I wish I had thought of this last year. If you could have seen me making ribbon trees last year, I literally cut 1 strip at a time, about 20 inches. And then after cutting the 20, I would then take that 1 strip and cut it into 5 4-inch pieces. It took forever. You're going my little brush that I told you I like to use just to keep my table clean. I got it from Dollar Tree. All right, so now we're ready to take our bundles. Right now we have 40 strips, so we'll see how many of these we use. So all I'm going to do is just take the ribbon, fold it in half, and I'm going to take the folded edge and have it facing outward. Okay, and what we're literally going to do is just pin it so that it is up against our tree, our cone here. You don't want it hanging on the table. So usually when I first do this, I have to come back and just kind of check and rest it on the table. So I'm going to put that in. And it really doesn't matter about your pins, what color you use, because they won't show. But I will tell you to angle it downward. Once you get up to the top, if you push it straight through, it's going to come out through the other side. And that's not fun at all. All right, so doing a check. I think I like the way that one's resting on the table. It's not completely hanging off. You can see it's just a little bit hanging to the edge. Okay, so I'm going to lay it back down, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to repeat this process all the way around. I'm going to slightly overlap them so that it forms a nice pattern, and we're going to do this all the way around for the first row. And I'm just going to do a few. And then I may just speed this up so you can see what this first row is going to look like. Okay, and sometimes as you're doing it, when you do your first one, you may have to put it down just to check occasionally to make sure that you're placing them straight. it's easy for them to not be straight, and it's not hard for that to happen. So sometimes you just have to stop and check. Once we get this first row done, we'll stand it back up and we'll continue with the rest. Okay, so I'm just pushing these in like so. So I made these last year, and I took them to a show that I did in my hometown. It was a banquet for the African American Ministerial Alliance in Sherrill, South Carolina, and they invited vendors, businesses to come in. I was the only vendor that showed up last year, so I really enjoyed it, and I'm thinking about doing it again this year. I sold a lot of wreaths. The show was in December. It was like the first weekend in December, so I sold a lot of wreaths, bows, angels. I like to make those at Christmas time. And what I have learned is you want to take items that have different price points, so that if someone may not necessarily want to purchase a wreath, they still have something to choose from. These, I usually sell this size, I believe, for about $25. I'll have to check. Everything for my prices they're all posted on my website, and my website is linked below. But it's A Touch of Faith online. I'm also on Facebook, so you can shop from my Facebook page. When you go to the page, you'll see all of my products are shoppable posts, meaning you can click the picture and the pricing information comes up. It links you to my website, and I've also set that up with Instagram, so I have shoppable posts as well. All right, so we've got this first layer almost done. Let's see how it's looking, angling it in. And then I'm just going to do a check on the table, and I think that looks pretty good. I try to keep the left ones on top, and sometimes you have to just go back. Let me show you what I'm doing. Straighten up just a little bit. Sometimes if they overlap a lot, you can put the pin there where it overlaps. Okay, so that's the first row of ribbons. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm going to stand it up now. And so what we're going to do for the second row is, instead of placing it directly above, we're going to center it in between the two. So I'm literally going to lay the second one over the two, and I'm going to make sure I cover the pin like so. So I'm going to lay it about right there. Okay, and then I'm going to put it in the middle just like that, and notice how it's covering that pin. All right, so I hope you could see that. I'll come back closer to the camera in just a minute. I want to start here actually. And you can go up as much as you like, just as long as you're covering the pin that's right below it. It's not a bad idea if they see the pin. Kind of looks like it could be maybe lights on a tree or something. All right. So I'm literally just overlapping and folding, overlapping, angling down because I don't want to stick myself. And I really prefer to stand it up. I'm holding it up for you all to see on the camera, so I know you really can't see what I'm doing like this. So let's see if I turn. Sorry about that shaking there. Let's see if I turn a little bit, if you can see what I'm doing better. I just find it's easier to create and keep it straight when I stand it straight up. That first row, like I said, it takes a little bit of time because you have to get everything aligned. So just taking a minute. So I am done with row number 3. So you can see it's going pretty fast. I still have one bundle and 3 pieces. So that will be our 40 pieces. And then we'll do another count and see how many pieces it's going to take us here. There is a cone that is smaller than this size. I believe it's the 7-inch, and it builds up to about 9 inches once completed. When you're done, you can decorate it at the top with a bow. I've even bought some of the picks from Hobby Lobby. There's a beautiful rose gold pick that I love. Looks like an ornament ball. I've put that on some of my ribbon trees. So there are lots of ways that you can decorate these. But what I love is it doesn't take a lot of materials. It doesn't take a lot of time. And before you know it, you have created an entire ribbon tree. And you can decorate for these, with these at Christmas. I made some for my mom and she put them out on her tables. So you can put them on your table, mantle. You can put them just anywhere, a bathroom counter even, just to have a little pop of Christmas without going through all the hassle of putting out a real tree or big decorations. And these store nice and easy. All right, I don't want to, let's see, I don't know if you can tell. I could just do that one right there, but I feel like the green would show. So even though it's tight, I'm just gonna overlap and then I'll come in with one more. All right, so that was exactly 40 and we almost finished 4 rows. And let's see this one, there we go. Okay, all right, so 40 almost covered 4 rows. So let's make some more in this. 5 once we use all these. All right, let's just start. Let's see how this goes. So we're going to start where we left off right here, covering that little space right there. Okay. All right, I can go ahead and tell you we're going to need to cut some more already. Like I'm playing cards here. Putting them back in piles of 5 just to keep my count going there for you. Okay. All right, so we're going to just overlap right here. Okay, get my pin. Move these back to my right side. It felt more comfortable grabbing them that way. All right, there's that tough part. And sometimes you can kind of feel it maybe hitting some of the other pin, so you have to be careful when you're going up to the top. All right, so let's see. Top is done almost. So that's what we have now. And I want to make sure this is covered. All right, so now let's make a decision. Are we going to do a bow, I think? All right, I don't like how this is sort of showing, so let me go a little tighter. I was trying to make it work with just that one. And in this instance, they're overlapping, so I pulled the pin out, and I'm just going to use one pin for those 2. So let's repin that. Sometimes when it's thick, it's harder to go through, and I'm trying to go through 4 layers right now instead of 2. There we go. Okay, so now let's do this. Let's cut one more first to fill that gap. So this is what, 71 pieces now? All right, we're going to push this in, and then we need to finish around, because if I leave it, even though we have the bow hanging over, you're not gonna like the look of that green through it. So I think instead of wrapping the top like I thought I was going to do, I say that, let's cut a few more pieces. I'm just going to use scissors this time like I started in the beginning. All right, so that was 71. This will put us at 74 pieces for my people who wanted the number. So for this size cone, that is. All right, all I'm doing is the same technique, but I'm doing it at the top. And you have to really make sure that you're angling those pins down, because if you do not, you will feel it. Okay, so that was 74. Let's do one more. I think it's going to take two though. 75 and 76. Okay, let's make sure that didn't come out. Nope, good. All right, so at this point we have covered our entire project with ribbons, with the exception of the top. So you could, if you wanted, whew, you just fell out of my hand. If you wanted, you could take a piece of your scrap or create a scrap, cover it to have a covering here, but I think our bow is going to do it. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I think it turned out pretty great. All right, so let's think about this for just a minute. I'm going to dovetail my ends by folding the ribbon, and I'm going to cut from the folded edge out, okay, like so. And then that creates that perfect dovetail. Okay. All right, so let's see about what size tail do I want. That might be maybe about 4 inches. And then let's test the loop size. If these are 2, I probably want to keep the loops to about the same. So if we're going to do 4 inches for the tails, so I have 4, then I'm going to twist. Okay. And then I'm going to create that 2 inch. And I'm just using my mat here. You see where 2 is. Okay. So I'm going to twist again. And then create another 2 inches. And you can usually take your folded, your loops, fold them up and kind of check to make sure they're even. And then I'm gonna cut it off at the end, and we'll come back and dovetail that in a minute. So right now that's 1 bow. Now I could put 2 together, which is what I normally like to do. Okay. So I will come back and dovetail that in just a minute. All right, so let's do one more. And I did not grab a pipe cleaner, so I'm going to do that in just a second. All right, and we're almost out of ribbon. So that's actually perfect. All right, so we're going to do one more. I'm not used to holding everything, so let's see how this is going to work. All right, so I folded it in my hand. All right, I've got to get the tails about the same. Okay. I'm going to twist. I'm just going to take this off because it's almost out. Anyway, that was messing me up. All right, and then we're going to create another 2-inch loop. And twist. And I'm measuring based on this other one over here. 2-inch loop and twist. All right, now we are about to see what this looks like. Hopefully not a hot mess. All right, so straightening up the loops a little before I gather it. Let me get a pipe cleaner. I have some rose gold pipe cleaners here. I ordered these online, Etsy. Found them on, I forget the name of the shop. I'll have to give you that name. They are the Chanel stems and they're very durable. All right, so I'm gonna just check my loops. I think that one's a little tall, but I can fix that. All right, so I'm gonna pull that just a tad bit. And I'm going to twist, twist, twist. All right, so now let's pull our loops and tails in opposite directions. And let's go ahead and dovetail the ends. Okay. And this one had all that tape and everything on it. All right, so I will hang on to those scraps because again, I may use it to cover parts of a future ribbon tree. Okay, so now let's see what we have. You could pull the tails opposite each other so that you have, when you put it on here, I'm going to trim the pipe cleaner down in just a second, but you can have one on one side, one on the other, like so. Okay, so it's just fluffing out the loops of the bow right now. This is very good ribbon, very thick. I don't know what the inner part is called, but it's very thick and very durable. Be careful with these Chanel pipe cleaners too. The Chanel stems, because they hurt when they stick you. That's what I did just now. All right, so I have a tail there, tail there. I think I'm liking that. You could make a tail go the other way, like I've done that before, where I take the tail like this and pull the ribbon up. So if you wanted to do it that way, you could, and then fluff it out. And you could bring this one, like literally you can have two bows opposite each other. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, I've done this several ways. You can actually shove this down in there. This is so thick, it's like a pick. So let's get the wire clippers here. And these are just some that I ordered, I think, from Amazon. And I have another pair that I purchased from Joann's. They're all good. I'm just going to cut this off some, like so. All right, and then what we can do is use this to poke a hole in it before we apply it. Let's see, now I'm going to use one of these. It is very, very thick. I'm not sure what gauge it is, but it's very thick. So I think I can use that and just kind of, you hear that? Just poke a hole in it. And what I'm going to do is just hot glue the ribbon bow down in there. So let's just, and this, by the way, has been on this entire time, so I hope it doesn't sizzle it too much. Just gonna put a glob right there. Oh yeah, I don't know if you heard that. And then now I'm going to grab the end of this and just kind of shove it down, press and hold, and fluff. And just like so. So while that's drying, I'm just pulling the tails actually down. And this ribbon bends, so you can literally shape it and do whatever you will with it. Like so, and then I'm going to just turn it so I can make it do exactly what I want it to do. Can't believe I did that bow, y'all. Woohoo! Because I'm telling you, usually my hand bows are not that great. Especially if I'm layering more than one. But hey, I did on the first try. Practice does make perfect. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do is make it look more like front center. So I'm going to kind of lift it so that it has a presence now that it's dry. Okay. And let's work that tail. This tail wants to go somewhere else, so let's see. Where do you want to go, tail? All right, let's pull it. And then let's see if we can get the tail over. There we go. Sometimes your tails tell you where they want to go. I'm going to bend, 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 bend. Bend, 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 bend. Kind of bend and curl. Bend and curl, bend and curl. All right. Here we go. All right, guys, what do you think? This is our finished project. Just turning it around so you can see it from all angles. So I will be sure to post a picture below for you. In addition to that, I'll put all of my contact information. So if you want to see this project and any others that I have available on my website, I'm building my YouTube channel, working towards that. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. So please check me out. I hope you have a great night. Thank you all for joining me. Bye.